Less than 3 weeks before Egypt's landmark presidential election, and the country is plunging deeper into turmoil. Mass protests against the interim military rulers have turned deadly, leaving at least one person reported dead and scores injured. Our correspondent in the region, Paul Aslier, now reports.
Friday's violence is said to have been triggered when protesters ignored warnings not to approach the Defence Ministry building. They started throwing stones at security forces who responded with tear gas and water cannons. And according to a number of eyewitnesses, there were rounds of live ammunition that were fired. What is particularly significant, though, is that for the first time we're witnessing hard-line Islamists at the forefront of these what have become weekly demonstrations with the ruling military. And when we talk about Islamists, we're talking here about the powerful Muslim Brotherhood as well as the ultra-conservative Salafist party. The Islamists joined the confrontations when two heavyweight Islamist candidates who had been put forward for the presidential polls that are taking place later this month were disqualified. Now, all of this comes hot on the heels of deadly clashes earlier in the week on Wednesday in front of the Defence Ministry building. And here we're seeing allegations go forward and backwards between the security forces and the protesters in terms of who started it. According to the protesters, they were attacked by thugs and plain-clothed police and troops. But according to activists as well as residents, they say that the protesters began the violence by provoking the forces and that many of the protesters themselves were armed. What is particularly significant is that we're witnessing cracks in the opposition to the ruling military, whereas once they seem united, more and more we're hearing of these splinter groups beginning to form. Certainly the surge in violence is affecting the election campaigning. What we're witnessing is that these fierce street battles are raising fears of a new cycle of violence ahead of these presidential elections on the 23rd and 24th of May. The violence has also left the campaigning in turmoil. Already two frontrunners, as well as several other candidates have announced that they are temporarily suspending their campaigns in protest against the heavy-handedness in which the ruling military has been dealing with protesters. What we've been hearing from the generals is that come the 24th of May, if there is one outright winner from one of the 13 candidates who are standing in these presidential elections, then they will hand over power. But increasingly, Egyptians on the street don't believe the word of the ruling military.